Our next presenter is going to speak on testosterone therapy in men, Panacea, Scourge, or the next big thing in medicine. Dr. Abraham Morgentaler is the Director of Men's Health in Boston and is an Associate Clinical Professor of Urology at the Harvard School of Medicine, Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center. Dr. Morgentaler lectures nationally and internationally to teach physicians in the latest techniques and information in the diagnosis and treatment and conditions affecting men's sexual and reproductive health. It's very interesting because his clinical work with testosterone was featured in New Yorker, and his comments have been published in journals such as Newsweek, U.S. News and World Report, and is the author of The Viagra Myth, The Surprising Impact on Love and Relationships, Male Body, A Physician's Guide to What Every Man Should Know About His Sexual Health. This, I'll pay close attention to. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Morgentaler.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. It's a great pleasure for me to be here. It's nice to have a big audience. I want to thank the organizers of the Scientific Committee for inviting me back here again this year. And I want to talk to you about a topic that is near and dear to my heart and I believe is of considerable importance to most of you. Testosterone is in the news a lot these days. Most of the stories that appear in New York Times and elsewhere are negative. You guys are treating your men, many of you, with testosterone, and you see the benefits that they get. And the question now becomes whether testosterone is something that is really the next big thing, whether it is something that's terrible, or whether it's something that's marvelous. These are my disclosures. So a lot of this has been a personal journey for me. And like this little girl going down the bicycle, there have been some ups and downs and some moments, if we might say. The world of testosterone is really expanding at a dramatic rate. It is as a class of medications, it is the single fastest growing set that we've seen over the last 10 years, with double-digit increases year over year for the last decade. It's amazing. This is the FDA's website for testosterone products. I couldn't fit it all on one page. In fact, there now are 29 FDA-approved testosterone formulations available, and this doesn't include the stuff that you're using compounded. We now see testosterone, low testosterone advertised on websites. We see full-page ads in the newspapers. Every sporting event has something about low testosterone. It's everywhere. But it wasn't always this way. When I finished my training in 1988 and started doing some of this work, there were no gels, there were no patches, there were no pellets. There really was just the injections that had been around since the 1930s and some oral forms that we no longer use because they cause liver toxicity. I think it's very instructive to look at where we've been because it helps us to figure out what's really going on today, and I think it can also provide some clues for the future about where we're going. This is a New England Journal of Medicine article from 1940. On the use of testosterone by Dr. Obb from Massachusetts General Hospital. And it's amazing to read this because it reads almost as if it could be written today with what we know about testosterone. He wrote about its use for hypogonadism in males. He noted that these men who were, at this point we would call them severely hypogonadal, very testosterone deficient, but when they were treated with testosterone, the erections occurred almost immediately. The men who had small prostates, they grew to normal size, not excessively, by the way. And what my favorite phrase in there is that with the use of testosterone, these men evidenced greater psychological assurance and vigor were obvious. Love that. 1940.